enough. That was good enough.
Welcome to our weekly podcast, Good Enough, with your co-hosts, Sam Lewis and Mark Lips. Our goal on Good Enough is to interview guests who do not let being perfect keep them from achieving their dreams. Whether it be writing a book, growing a business, achieving some other success, all of these people are heartfelt, passionate, and good enough to be noticed and guests on our podcast. We welcome them, and we also thank you for joining us today. Hey, look at that, Sammy boy! I'm just. What's that say? What did it say? Hit second.
Hit record.
Hit record. Oh, you got to know. Oh, got it. Sorry, I couldn't see it. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring a little color into your life.
Oh, my God, Mark. Stand up. That is nice.
We have a Hawaiian-themed Rotary past presidents meeting tonight, so in the barn, and it's, a luau sort of thing. Hey, listeners, welcome. Thank you for being here. This will be a good podcast, not to the barn, but we're brought to you by, just so we get this out of the way, people that don't make us any money, but Happy Friday Neighbors, which is a weekly newsletter that I put out, just a little bit of everything, funny comments and jokes and interesting news and sidebars and whatever runs through my crazy head every Friday for the last 25 years. And we'll have that information up for you. We're also brought to you by the Right Choice Farm and Stay and Catering. And that is right here in Northern California. Sam!
Here in the middle of the United States in Central Illinois, this part of the program is brought to you by Pride Staff. It's a full-service staffing agency doing temp to hire, direct hire. We do recruiting. We do, we're basically into human trafficking.
Yeah, I was going to say hits to hire,
Not hire to hit.
Hire to hit.
Also by Sammy Substack, the Finally Friday philosophy newsletter, sort of regular, but not as regular as Mark's, a curation of stuff I find interesting or entertaining. I really probably need to get some kind of theme one of these days, but you can find us on the Substack, Sam's Substack. What else?
Well, the biggie, your grandson.
Oh yeah, he's
Augustine, man. This dude is becoming a legend among his peers. He is becoming a household name. He is becoming an entity what's the word I'm looking for? A product. Holy cow! I read about.
He had an interesting weekend. We didn't win any national races, but he got second in one and fourth in two others. But I was sitting in the lobby of the hotel before going to the racetrack, and all the other heat races were done. This was the next day. Only the A mains remained. And team was sitting there, an older guy my age, a young guy, probably Travis's age, and then a young guy, Augustine's age. And I, saw they had the wristbands on. I said, "How'd you do?" And they said, we not very good. We got stuck in the G mains and had to work our way up. And I said, "Well, did you make any A mains?" They said, "No, we didn't." I said, "Well, where are you from?" They said, "We're headed back to Pennsylvania." I said, "Oh man, that's a long haul." So yeah, I know. And before they got up, they turned to me and said, "Who's your driver?" And I said, Augustine Punk. And they said, "Oh yeah, Augustine."
I'm telling you, he's crossing state lines. And
Augustine. I like.
So listeners, Augustine is a auto racer. I mean, he's racing not bikes, not he's racing automobiles, and it's pretty cool. I follow him obviously on Facebook. Too far away to attend those races every weekend. The thing is, it's really running into my it's kind of getting into my social life with Sam, because I wanted Sam. They asked Sam and I to co-MC our 50th high school reunion. Yes, I know, Hard to believe.
Just say their 50th.
Look at
You don't
us,
have to
50.
say.
That's just crazy talk. But 50th high school reunion. And Sam's thinking he can't do it because he might have to go to a race.
I got to make a commitment pretty quick on that. I wanted to talk to you about that. So we can do an aside.
He would do it. I would do it if Sam would do it. And that's the only way I'll do it.
Terry said we should do it as a Good Enough podcast.
Yeah, we could do that. Oh,
what's that animal running around behind you on the stairs?
Probably a dog, but that
probably, but not. You can't say
100%. Could be a pig. Could be a pig. No,
it's probably a dog, listeners.
Yeah, it's probably
There's some black running up and down the stairs that has a tail. Mark says it's probably a dog. He didn't say absolute. It's a dog. He said,
"Hey, I have an issue." By the way, so I think that's a great idea because then I don't have to leave the farm. Because by the way, that day, September 11th, is a big day. That's our Big Valley Small Farms Day.
And if you're not going to be there, I'm not doing it.
Huh?
If you're not going to be there physically, I'm not doing it.
Oh no, I thought we were going to do what Terry said with the podcast.
Yeah, but she's saying set it up at the event.
Well, that's what I was saying.
You got one table, I got a table. We could do some stick.
Yeah, I know. No, I would love that. No, I told Tammy, I said, if Sammy will do this, I'm willing to go out there. You know,
well, I owe you an answer, and I got to make a commitment.
Yeah. Well, they've been having meetings, so we need to let them know too. You know,
they may have us on the agenda already.
Right. Well, I told them. I said, don't pencil me in because I don't want to do it unless Sammy's there. Yeah, I need a straight man. So By the way, my pig.
I'm the straightest of the straight.
I may have to take him to University of Davis. Well, I will take him to University of Davis. To their veterinary group. That Davis school is just fantastic. But my mini pigs are, I believe, blind fat. You know what that is? That's a real deal.
Terry looked it up. I didn't. She knew all about it. So what is it?
Blind fat. Well,
I know a couple of people I think are that way, but
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, man, if I'm not careful, I put on a few pounds.
Me too.
I'll be blind fat. I'm already blind. I just need the big fat part here, So anyway, pretty wild.
Did I tell you the doctor told me I need a double hip replacement?
Yeah, but didn't you put a hip away on layaway?
I think I threw one out one time because it was bad.
Yeah, well, yeah, expired.
Yeah. So I haven't been able to hammer the miles.
That was when they were made out of wood.
Like 10 pounds,
away.
Mark.
Oh my gosh! Really? They're telling you a double hip? Double?
He said, we can do it today or sometime. He says you'll be back. They showed me the X-ray, and I said, "Is that what a bad hip looks like?" Because I'd never seen these X-rays of hips before.
Yeah, and where's
by the way? That's a big set of testicles on that guy.
Yeah, well, that's just swollen from all
that. Is that mine? What?
That's bike riding. That's bike riding. Will do that to your testicles.
That's another kind of disease.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
So this fat blindness, it's caused by genetic or what is it?
Yeah, well, listen, pigs do not have. First of all, they don't sweat. There's all kind of interesting things. Very smart animals, the mind of a 3-year-old. Brain capacity of a 3-year-old, all of that. Probably one of the smartest animals on earth.
They're really smart.
But very cognitive. They can figure out how to get through things and throw their weight around. But they have no mechanism. Pigs have no mechanism to turn off eating. So you really, now, if you have meat pigs, you're fine. You're feeding them biscuits and gravy, giving them sodas, anything you want, but pets, like I was letting them go out here in the apple orchard and all that, and apple sugar turns to fat, boom, right? And so I've got to get them on this diet, which I've had, but I think I was a little late. And I think they've been as gregarious because I don't think they can see, they're like, want, So
Is it physical blind? Is there something happening to their eyeballs?
Yeah, the fat literally goes over their arm.
Oh,
now, in some cases, the eyelids, the eyelashes turn inward.
Can you get them an eye job?
Yeah, Botox, little Botox, and
Botox
boom.
And tummy tuck and eye job, and they'll.
That's what they need. Is they need a serious tummy tuck and some Botox.
So Shaun is your friend.
Yeah, Shaun is one of the more interesting guys that I know. And
I don't know it. You're gonna have to lead this one.
Listen to this, history-wise, and then we gotta. Well, he's probably in the waiting room here in a little bit.
Well, he tried to sign on an hour ago.
I hope we find him. Who knows where Shaun
I sent him an email. Hey, it's 4:00 Central Time.
Yeah, right. Well, but that would be 2:00 Pacific.
But that's math.
Yeah, I know. So
math is hard. We've had this conversation. Math is hard.
He's from England, so he's probably signing on some kind of English time.
They have time.
But you're going to get a kick out of this. You know what a penny farthing is? The bike.
What is it?
Penny farthing bikes. They're the.
Oh yeah. I thought
big wheel.
Yeah.
He used to race those.
Yeah, I seen pictures of that. No, thank you.
Well, I just thought you guys, that would be a connection.
Yeah, I've seen guys do that. It's not part of my. That's how I already got bad hips.
Oh, is it that? Okay, so anyway,
I was fall off one of those. You got bad hips, neck, shoulders.
Yeah. All right, so let's go.
4:00.
All right, buddy.
All right. See you. Don't let me forget to hit record.
Probably.
Where is Shaun located, Mark?
He's here in Lake County.
Oh, really? I thought you said something about him being in Antarctica or England or something.
I said he has thought of running away to Antarctica.
Oh,
well, about time.
Is this Mark? Is this Shaun? We got the right guy.
Shaun, and the reason he was late, he was probably sanding a 14th century piece of coffee table.
It has been known. Although not very often in California.
Hey, okay, so listen, we're going to run out of time quick. First of all, Sam, this is Shaun Hornby, friend of mine here in Lake County.
Hi, Shaun.
A friend of the world, actually. He's a friend of the world. And Shaun, this is my high school buddy, Sam Lewis, and one of the few, the rest are in jail, but one of the few I've stayed in contact with all this time. So
I'm on parole.
Yeah, and listen, I want to get this started. First of all, you guys have a connection, all right? Sam has just been told that he needs to get both hips, but anyway, and that his testicles are way too large for his body.
That's what it looked like on the X-ray to me, Shaun. Like I got large. I mean, I'm just saying. It's just called as I see it, but they look gigantic on the X-ray.
I've got big balls, right?
Yeah. AC/DC.
But we think it's from all the bike races that he participated in. Sam participated in a lot of bike races. He rides all the time. He's an avid bicyclist and, big time, done all that stuff. And I was telling him, and Sam, I'll let you finish up with it. I was telling him that, Shaun competed in penny farthing races. And Sam goes,
No.
Yeah.
You don't fall. You don't fall off one of those things. You tumble down from a height.
I've got scars for life to prove it. Yeah.
Race at a regular bicycle, you lay it down.
That's right.
Any farther, so you fall off the top of them.
Wow. I saw a picture of Shaun, and I know his daughter is in our Rotary Club, and I saw a picture of her as a little girl when they lived in England, on one of those penny farthing bikes. And I mean, so that's a pretty brutal sort of sport, is it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I started it. My old boss, actually, in England, he owned the most well-known interior design and antique shop in northwest of England near Manchester. And he also owns, and still does to this day, he owns the biggest penny farthing museum in the world.
Wow.
And which is located in a little town called Knutsford, and spelt with a K, and it's actually named after King Canute, because King Canute resided there for many years. Have you ever heard a story about King Canute?
It was King Canute Rockney. King Canute Rockney. Yeah.
King Canute was the guy who thought he could stop the ocean coming in, because he was a king. He could tell the ocean to stop. Anyway, that's another story.
Yeah,
but he owned this museum, and we used to race all over the UK and into Europe sometimes. And I actually was the 1990 Welsh pier dash champion, and they were doing a race on the pier, and there's photographs actually in the museum next to the pier in Llandudno.
Wait a minute. That's exactly what you want to do. Take one of those big bikes and go race on a pier. That tops it.
And the thing is, you had to duck every 30 meters. You had to duck because there were these deco lights hanging there.
It wasn't dangerous enough.
Come back. They still do it to this day. Yeah.
That was not dangerous enough. Let's duck while we're riding these things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, okay. So how do you get on one of those? Do you run along, put your foot on the pedal, and then leap on?
Well, depends what size of machine you've got. The size of the machine you have depends on your inside leg measurement. So, Mark, you have a bicycle wheel about that big. so
you know what? Hey, I'll
joke. Okay.
Yeah. So, these bikes are custom fit to you?
Pretty much. That's how they were built in the 1870s. Yeah. So your inside leg measurement will determine the length of, because this was before chains, of course, on bicycles, you know. And so the longer legs you were, the faster you could eventually get going on a long distance race.
Right.
My legs aren't that long, even though I'm 6 foot, but my legs are kind of short. So I had a smaller machine, so I was good for sprint races because the wheel was smaller. So, but to get on, you basically stand behind the machine where the spine is, and then you hold on to the handlebars, and then there's a little step at the bottom, and you put your foot on the step above the little wheel, and then you throw yourself into the seat.
Okay.
And off we go.
So generally, what size of bike would you have to have with say for a guy with big balls?
Probably the same size as what Mark would be riding.
Hey, the thing is though, Shaun, don't you think if you can custom fit a bike, so not everybody's playing on the same playing field. I mean,
No, you were after a speed racer or you were a long distance racer.
Different horses for different courses.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so on a race, they determine which bikes are allowed and what size.
You can pretty much ride any race you wanted to do. Yeah. It all depended on the size of machine, whether you want to do a sprint race. I used to do sprint races.
Okay, so you didn't have multiple bikes to fit like.
No, I didn't, because obviously the biggest machine I had was a 54-inch wheel, and so that I was good for sprint races. But I did a couple of long distance races, which were actually at car racing circuits. One place in particular we raced at was Alton Park, and another place was Silverstone, where they do the Grand Prix. But by the time I got quarter way around the lap, the big guys they were halfway around the lap, you know, so they'd be gone, because obviously a big wheel goes further than a smaller wheel.
There was no coaster on that either. That was fixie, right?
Fixed wheel.
Yeah.
There's
no brakes except for your feet.
Well, some of them
feet are off the ground
on the top of the wheel.
Oh, yes, right.
Yeah, didn't do much really. I mean, the best way of getting off, I used to always, my party trick was putting my legs over the handlebars and then just basically touching the spoon brake and then jump off the front. That was always.
You have video? You have video of that? You have film of that?
You know, I'm sure in the archive somewhere there's races and where I did. The most common one was one we did called the Great Race. I know that's all over on YouTube, so you can always type it in. The Great Race.
I gotta go look at that stuff. That is wild.
It's scary. Well, I don't know if I've seen you, Shaun, race or not, but I've seen some of these races like, not doing that.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah. You need a shot of whiskey before you get on it sometimes, that's for sure.
I'm okay with that.
Do you wear, like you would on a motorcycle, do you wear leathers, stuff on your elbows?
No.
Any kind of protection?
Never. I never did.
Nothing.
Silly, really. But I was a traditionalist, so I would wear the +4 pants with the socks and the shoes and the waistcoat and sometimes the top hat, you know, so.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
How wild is that? How wild? Do you have, by the way, do you have a penny farthing in your shop? Do you have it here?
No, I don't. I donated the one I had back in England. I donated it to the museum because it was an old 1871 Rudge. And
wow.
So it went into the museum. So there is a place down in Alameda in the South Bay that actually makes reproduction ones.
Well, my old boss used to ride those. I don't think he raced, but he rode those. And I remember when his family got him one as a gift. And I just call it one of those old, bicycles. I didn't know they had a name. So that's wild. Yeah. I'm going to Google that. So
check it out.
Shaun, my first question, official question for you. Have you written a book?
No.
Well, that breaks our trend here, Mark.
Yeah, I know. Well, but the thing
apparently you're going to have to write a book now, Shaun.
Normally on our podcast, we're talking to people who have written books. And we broke that pattern with you because, as I told Sam, he is the most interesting man in the world. And
yes,
I mean, you drink Dos Equis?
To start off with penny farthings. I mean,
well, he told me you had a penny farthing. I thought it was some kind of book, and so that's why I allowed this conversation today. Yeah,
right. Okay.
Right. There you go.
Okay. So just to continue this interesting life, he also moved this lady to get his green card. I don't know if you know, it's really a kind of a salacious sort of diabolic scheme on his part, but he was persistent. It took him 10 years to get to agree to marry him so he could come over here. And
was it the same woman, or was it different women for 10 years, or how'd that work?
Same woman.
No.
The same woman.
I mean, obviously,
wouldn't it have been easier just to change women rather than try to convince one?
Well, for 10 years we kept in contact. I actually, she was doing her thing over here and I was doing my thing over in England. We just kept in contact, But we always said
come on, Shaun. You're just tired of telling the story, okay? Because you got to pull stuff out of. They met at Disneyland here in LA, right?
That's right. In 1985, yeah.
And then, separate ways, stayed in contact, letter romance for 10 years. And then finally,
we said, okay, we better get together before we get hooked up with somebody else, so.
Yeah.
And then, but on the bottom of each letter, not that I'm really religious, but on the bottom of each letter we wrote to each other every other month. We used to always write, "Keep the faith. One day we'll be together." You see, so hence our daughter is called Faith. So,
yeah.
When you met each other at Disney World, were you guests or were you each characters of some type?
She thought I was goofy.
You see how I set that up?
Yeah, you tease about. You can do that with Shaun. You can do that with Shaun. So
we'll be here all week. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he the other fun thing is that his daughter, Faith, who is just this wonderful old soul, because she may be, what is she now, 26, 27, something
27.
Like that. 27. She she's going on 40. I mean, she just is hard as a whip, together.
Wait, give me 1 second, guys.
Okay.
I'll call you.
I have had it.
I think that's the way it was with Janice. I'll call you.
I don't want.
Oh, okay.
But back then, calls were pretty expensive, so you had to write the letters. You know.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry, guys.
Well, that's all right.
We can cut that out.
You know, we can figure out.
We might leave it. Who knows?
What was she saying?
Hey, I see cars going past you or reflected behind you in a mirror or something, or in the glass. So you're on the main drag somewhere in Lake County?
Yeah, my shop is on Main Street in Lakeport. Yeah.
Oh, Sam, next time you come here, I'll take you over to the shop. This guy is an artist with wood. I mean,
I think we drove by there and you pointed. You said, "My friend owns this business."
Right. And just, antiques and refinishing and, all of that. It's pretty amazing. My parents would have loved it because
no kidding.
They were antique collectors, as you remember. And anytime we went on road trips, we would try to distract them if we saw an antique store up on the road somewhere, because they would spot it and stop, and all the kids, we'd pile out. But anyway, getting back to Faith, though, Faith says that she raised her parents.
Yeah, well, since she was graduated Chico State, she came home, and then she kind of did take over, saying, "Is that a wise?" It started off like, "Is that a wise choice?"
Right.
What you're doing? Thought, oh my God, here we go. She's telling us what to do now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so you got the store, but listen to this, Sam. Tell us about talk about multidimensional on this, and a lot of this is Janice too, right? But first of all, very health conscious. But they live on a property where they've got horses and goats and chickens and all kinds of stuff. I mean, in addition to this, he's got that, and you're going, holy cow! When do you have time? And then on top of that, okay, so how big is your ranch?
We're on just over 5 acres. So
wow.
It's work. And the honey-do list gets longer and longer every week,
Right. Well, but on that 5 acres, is it for animals ranch, or do you have any row crops, a vineyard, anything?
No, just animals.
Just animals. Yeah,
just
lots
animals. Of yeah, and a big garden to deal with. Yeah.
And bees.
Yes, yeah. Janice has her bees.
I know. Janice has been bending my ear on bees ever since I first experimented with bees. And I am actually going to her guy. He's got a nook for me at the end of this week. And apparently I'm going to go pick up this nook and try again with bees. So I've had 2 beehives abscond on me, so.
Yeah, it's work, that's for sure.
Is it?
Oh yeah, it's a lot of work. Janice is out there 2 or 3 days a week dealing with those things, and yeah, it's a lot of work.
I was thinking it was pretty low maintenance.
Still a lot of them though.
Maybe that's why they left. Oh man, no one's taking care
of
them.
You put them up in the spring, you go back in the fall, they're gone.
We're gone. Oh my God.
Yeah, their work, that's for sure.
Also, okay, Sam, if that's not enough, this kid here,
Kid. Well, not been called that for a while.
Well, that I'm a lot older than you,
Well,
son. And
okay.
and Sam's probably a lot older than me. But the
That's not true.
this guy is a musician. He has one of the top bands in Lake County, and he could probably go out of the county, but he just plays around here. But I mean, anytime someone's requesting a band or they need a band for a street fair or an event or anything like that, it's the LC Diamonds and Lake County Diamonds and LC Diamonds. And Shaun's the leader of that group. And I mean, they are so good. And Shaun's the lead singer, lead guitar and all that. So
what kind of music?
A little bit of everything. It's all cover stuff. I mean, it's everything from 50s to the 90s.
Yeah.
You know,
Great.
My nickname used to be the British Elvis.
Yeah.
Because we do a lot of Elvis stuff, and I take off Elvis. Yeah.
Doesn't that piss you off, Sam? The guy can ride penny farthings. He knows antique.
If you're just going to remind me of how inadequate I am, I don't need to.
He's a rock star, and he's got an English accent. It just pisses me off. You know, I mean, holy cow. Okay, so, and this is what Shaun really loves this when I do this to him, but Shaun comes from music. So if you, and you can Google this, what was the band's name your dad played with?
Bruce Harrison, the Cavaliers.
Cavaliers. Cavaliers. And Bruce Harrison, the Cavaliers, which I did Google. And I saw posters. And they were part of the Mercy Beat sound in Liverpool and all that area. But I saw posters and would have Bruce Harrison, the Cavaliers, and then it would be backed up by the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. Unbelievable. His dad. And Shaun, tell the story. Shaun, as a 3-year-old, accidentally knocked John Lennon's amp down the steps at their house because his dad hung out with all these guys. I mean, he was.
Well, that's it. Yeah, 1969, and actually, you know what? I actually pulled up a picture just to show you the house that I grew up in. I don't know where it'll come across.
I've seen. It's huge.
I'll show you. Yeah, so that's the house. That's the main part of the house, and you see those pillars.
Yeah.
So those pillars are in the middle of those pillars. There's 3 steps that go down. So when and my father, he tells me stories all the time about things happened, me growing up and when he was younger, you know, in the music industry. Right. And he said, well, do you remember when you were 3? And I'm like, Dad, I don't even remember what I had for breakfast, you know? Never mind when I was 3. Well, I'll try and jog your memory. You decided to carry this Vox AC30 amplifier down those stone steps to a vehicle that was down there. And all the voices went, no! And you dropped it, and it fell down the steps. And everyone looked at you and started laughing, and you started crying, of course, you know. I said, well, Dad, I don't know how, but I can remember as a little boy looking up and seeing all these faces around me. And he said, well, the amplifier that you dropped was John Lennon's amp, but George Harrison was there, and Tom Jones, Jerry Marsden. And I said, what? And I started going, yes. And he goes, well, why are you so happy? I said, my claim to fame is I broke Lennon's amp, you know?
Well, what I remember was Tom Jones was at the top of those steps just laughing his butt off, you know, because he was never a big fan of Lennon's, but I don't think. But it's just, I mean, this guy, his dad, remember the story? I should just wind you up and tell you to start talking. But you have to pull this stuff out of him. Usually we were behind my barn at some event, and I get where I can.
That didn't really sound that good, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but anyway, at an event. But one time Janice and Shaun were in, I think it was Carmel, at a record store in Carmel.
Mm-hmm.
And Shaun was plinking around on, no, it was a music store. And he
It was actually a guitar shop, a vintage guitar shop.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
selling one of my guitars, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so you were kind of playing around on one, and there were a couple of guys in the back who were just plinking around too. And all of a sudden, the guy in the back, because he probably heard Shaun's English accent, and this guy in the back had an English accent, and he said, "Hey, mate," and pulled him back there, and he said, "So where'd you learn how to play guitar?" And he said, he said, "What's your name?" And he said, "Shaun Hornby." And then the guy said, "Well, where'd you learn how to play guitar?" And he says, "My dad." And he goes, "Your dad isn't Ralph Hornby, is he?" And Shaun goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, tell him Jeff Beck said hello."
Yeah. And I'm like, because I knew I recognized the guy.
Amazing.
I'm like, oh my God. I said, "Hi, I'm Jeff Beck." I went, "Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed." And that's when I got on the phone and I Facebook Live my dad. And amazingly, he was still up. And I went, "Hey, Dad, look who this is." And I showed the phone to Jeff. And Dad goes, "Hey up, Jeff, how are you doing, mate?" And I went, how do you remember each other? And Jeff was saying, he said, "Well, back in the early 60s, there wasn't that many really good musicians around," he said. "And the ones that were good, we all kind of knew each other, you know." And he said, "I've not spoken to Ralph." He said, "I've not spoken to you since like 1962, you know."
Wow.
So it's like, you know, it's amazing that 50 years, 55 years later.
Especially in that Mercy Beach area, that's where they all were. And they all played together and at events together. And
Jeff Beck just passed away not that long ago, right?
He did. Yeah, very sad. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it was pretty amazing just to sit and talk to him. Yeah, unbelievable guitar player. But I
saw him in Busch Stadium, Mark.
Wow.
Remember Super Jams? They used to tour around the United States. He was at one of the Super Jams. Interesting guy.
Well, you know,
here's a great picture for you. So that is my dad in 1959. He was the second person in England to own a Fender Strat.
Oh, wow.
And the guy on the far side of him with the hat on, that's the guitar shop owner. And the young guy in the middle, that's a young Brian Epstein in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
wow. That's cool.
I always say there's this theory. I have this theory about how people get to where they get. And I believe there's this thing called the studying at the feet of the masters. And those people, you know, any kind of industry or discipline, they clump. It's very clumpy. That if one guy knows somebody, that they know 10 people that you know of that were in the industry and did great things because they were all hanging out together, feeding off each other, learning from each other, pushing each other.
Right.
My dad taught George Harrison how to play E minor because George said, "How do you get that chord?" And the dad said, "Well, it's really easy. You do this." And so that dad taught George some bits and bobs.
Now, Mark and I had a near run-in with George Harrison.
Yeah.
We grew up in Mount Vernon, and George Harrison's sister lived in the next town over, Benton, Illinois, and he came to visit during the summers, and he would come to Mount Vernon and eat at the Taco Villa.
He bought a guitar at Fenton's.
At Red Fenton, yeah.
Oh,
the one he played on Ed Sullivan.
Wow.
Really?
Wow. Well, his dad, Shaun's dad, now I know where Shaun gets that humble quality is one time. Here's another story that I pulled from him. You were at Canocti Harbor back in its heyday, right? When they were bringing in big bands.
Yeah.
And Dad was here. And a lot of times when his dad shows up, he'll play guitar with Shaun with the LC Diamonds. But and by the way, his daughter Faith is an amazing singer, awesome musical, and just, you know, so sometimes she'll get up and sing along with Dad, which is just so great to see.
Yeah, it's a good it.
And but they were backstage, I guess, and I can't remember who it was. A classic musician classic rock and roll musician, and Shaun and his dad were just standing backstage, and this guy's coming off stage, and I'm sure I got the story wrong, but anyway, somehow the guy goes, "Hey, Ralph," and Ralph said, "Hey," whoever it was, Jimmy Page, I don't know who, but who was that? That was somebody.
It was, I'm terrible remembering names, and it was the guy. His biggest hit was "Baby, I Love Your Way."
That was
"Baby, I Love Your Way."
Yeah,
go
Peter
on.
Frampton.
Peter Frampton, thank you. So it was Peter, and you're very close. You're very close there, Mark. But we saw the show, and then we went down to the front. My dad said, "Hey, let's just go down and say hi." So he was doing autographs, and Peter looked up, saw my dad, and he goes, "Hey, Ralph." And I look over at my dad and went, "Dad, you've got to tell me this stuff, that you know these people." He goes, "Well, I didn't think he'd recognize me, but
right.
Another one, from the early days,
The fact they didn't go up and say, "Hey, it's Ralph," humble.
Yeah, we went back into the green room and we were chatting. My dad was chatting to him for like an hour. It was awesome. Yeah.
That's so cool. That's a cool history.
Yeah, so, Peter Frampton had one hit, but that album, live album, was
the live
astonishing.
album. Yeah.
So Shaun, did you play music a lot did you have a band in England?
I did. Yeah. I actually, for a couple of years, I actually played with my dad's band, the Cavaliers. I stood in with them. And it was pretty cool. One event, I always remember one particular event we played. Well, we played for the Prime Minister, John Major, on one event. And then, but there's another event that the MC was a guy called Father Mackenzie. And it was the Father Mackenzie.
Father Mackenzie.
Beatles, Father Mackenzie.
Yeah.
So he was there. My dad got him to come and be the MC. And I think he died a few years after that. But and he was wearing a cardigan with holes in it. And it's like, God, it's just like the song, darning your socks. But he was a strange guy, but he was a pretty cool cat.
Father Mackenzie. Yeah. And so you had that band, and then when you came over here, you went right to Lake County, right?
Straight to Lake County, because Janice's family were originally from here, of course, so that's why we came here. But I loved it. What was it like?
So did you live in England up until that point before you moved to America?
Yeah.
What was that transition like, moving from England to, and particularly California?
Manchester, of course, is a big city, and it was. But I loved coming over here because I really felt Lake County was like, it was like walking back into the 50s. Everything was like outdated and, not much here. And I thought, I love it. This is great. This is old school,
I think we're about at 57 right now.
I think about 57 or 58. Yeah. But I just loved it. And, and I fell in love with the place, and I knew this is where I wanted to be,
Well, so Sam, but his family started in England. Faith was born in England, right?
Was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And in Wales?
No, just outside Manchester.
Okay.
Place called Nantwich. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so she's got dual citizenship.
She does.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is amazing. I'm barely hanging on to one citizenship.
So you grew up with Manchester United.
That's my team.
Oh man. I took a soccer team to England.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And we traveled all over.
On the other hand, I took a plane, but
yeah. I took a group of 12 under soccer players to England. We played matches.
1,200?
12 under. It was
I'll say 1,200. That's a hell of a big boat.
So we played teams all over. By the way, you guys, but we played. I think the good guys were off because this was like August or whatever. And anyway, we played teams all over that Liverpool and Manchester area and all of that. and spent time in England too, in London and all that. But the coach I took, Paul, grew up in Liverpool. All right, and came up through the system with what's Liverpool? What's the farm system? God, I've forgotten all this stuff. Anyway, our what's the anyway, never mind. Anyway, it's Liverpool and Arsenal.
Well, Arsenal's a London team.
Oh, well,
yeah, the other Liverpool team is Everton.
I think he came up through Everton.
Okay.
And anyway, all the boys, of course, wanted to tour Manchester Stadium. And so he went over there, and we went over there, and we had a tour guide and everything, and Paul was just going, and he goes, I just when I get close to Manchester United, I just get, it's like a rash or something, because he's not a fan of Manchester United. And anytime we did a group shot in front of something at Manchester United, Paul would hold up 5 fingers, because even though Manchester United was this big, how many of the big tournaments? I mean, Everton or Liverpool had won 5, I think.
Liverpool have won 5 European championships, where United only won 3.
And so every picture has Paul with
funny
5 fingers. And we were going into the locker room, and he goes, God dang, this just rubs me the wrong way. It was pretty funny. And all of his team knew, so but you would go to the soccer. Now they know how to do soccer. You would go to the football game, right? And they had these teams, right? And they had a clubhouse, and you changed in the guests locker room, and then you had in the home locker room, but in the clubhouse, beer taps. And you could
as it should be,
watching the game, having a beer. I'm going, now this is what soccer should be done, So
that used to be beer taps in Busch Stadium, the old Busch Stadium, in the dugouts.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I literally took this hat off to start this, and I probably should have left it on.
There you go. That's a good hat.
Yeah. I bought it online. I'm a huge Zeppelin fan, so
that's nice.
I didn't think
Plant a few times.
What's that?
I saw Page and Plant a few times back in the 90s.
I saw Led Zeppelin twice over in St. Louis.
Nice.
In 77 and 79, I think.
Okay.
I wish we could do a whole, I mean, I'm such a historian at heart. I love these old stories, especially music and anything, with the Rolling Stones, Beatles, all of that stuff, that Mercy beat sound, that late 50s, early 60s rock and roll, stuff like that. Just fantastic. But, and what those guys did, they really were a lesson in persistence, because until they went to Hamburg, the Beatles were not that good, really.
Oh, they were. No, my dad always said, they were a horrible band, when they first. And my dad's got, it's funny because he's got 2 posters, one top of the bill, Bruce House and the Cavaliers, and then underneath it, it's the Beatles. They just changed to the Beatles, but then they went off to Hamburg, and they were there for like a month or something. They came back, and suddenly they had it. And they released the first single, and my dad's got this other poster, which is top of the bill, the Beatles, second, the Bruce House and the Cavaliers.
Hey, we're getting close to running out of time. I want to take a picture first of all, so everybody look at the screen as if I'm actually taking a picture and smile or do whatever. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
That's great.
And Shaun, do you want to promote anything real quick before we sign off here? We got 1 minute.
Sure. My business in Lakeport, it's kind of sad in a way. There was 5 antique shops in Lakeport, before COVID hit, and now I'm the last one.
Yeah.
I'm the last one standing.
What's the name of the shop?
It's Hornby's Furniture and Antiques.
Hey,
Yeah.
Shaun,
Well,
I
we
appreciate. We got to go. We're going to get cut off. I just want to say thank you so much,
All right,
Shaun.
Shaun.
I loved it. I
Brother.
loved it. This was too short.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Good to meet you.
Great,
Bye-bye.
great meeting you, Sam. Okay.
Same here. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Good. 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 Enough. As good enough.